Bears fans can't get enough of Jayden Daniels. They wake up in the morning, the first thing they think of is Jayden Daniels. They go to bed, it's the last thing they think of. Pop, what's going on, man?
Working the road game from destinations unknown.
Yes, sir. Pop's on the lamb again.
Gotta keep it moving, son. Gotta keep it moving.
Had to flee. And, all of a sudden we're at M&T Bank Stadium and then Pop's on the lamb. You never know, man. You never know where you're going to find this guy, what kind of stuff he's going to get into. But while Pop is in land far, far away, we are bringing to you live your Bears pregame. You guys know the drill. It's our classic Thursday podcast. Obviously, this week, some big news that we got to get into. But don't forget, stay tuned. Bada Bets coming in the second half of this podcast. And we're going to hit our NFL Week 8 picks. Just a quick look ahead. Both of the boys are at least 3 games over 500 this year. So might be worth
stay tuned.
Around.
Gotta stay
Might
tuned.
be worth thinking around if you want to tell the boys. But and don't forget, if you're new, if you're just checking us out, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. We really appreciate it. We bet you it'll be a good return on your investment. I bet if you like and you subscribe to this podcast, you'll be glad these videos come up on your feed.
So get this. Breaking news. We just hit 600 subs.
Let's go. All right.
Wasn't too long ago we were talking about 500. So this grassroots effort, decided I would check. Big milestone hit. We thank you. We're looking to double that. So tell your friends. We really appreciate it. It really does go a long way. We're having a blast doing this. Just a couple of fans, but we'd love to keep building it. So tell your friends. There'll be more giveaway news soon. So stick with us.
Yep. Next step, 1 million. Anyways, Pop. How you feeling, man? How's the lamb treating you? Where's the vibes at right now?
I'm on the lamb because I don't know, man. I gotta lay low because of Jayden. I'm missing Jayden. I'm missing Jayden.
Yeah. It's not the same, man. It's not the same. This feels like a very Washington week. Like this feels like the kind of week that you're used to, where it's just constant debate and parody all week, and this, that, and the other. And obviously, that all comes down to the biggest headline coming out of last week's game and into this week that has since developed, and we've gotten a couple updates early this week, which is Jamin Davis has been released. He is no longer a part of the program. Of course, I'm kidding. We will talk about that in a bit. The big headline, Jayden Daniels has been given a week-to-week status officially. So Dan Quinn said that in his presser on Monday. Obviously, we did not have that information on Sunday when we potted for you. We dropped the podcast even before Dan Quinn's presser on Monday. But Dan Quinn had that presser on Monday, said he's week to week. Ian Rappaport kind of doubled down on that today. A quote that kind of went viral on Commander's Twitter that was taken a little bit out of context was that, quote, his status is very much in doubt for this weekend. I think people read that as he's doubtful. And if you watch the whole clip, that's definitely not what Rappaport was saying. It was just, hey, it's far from guaranteed that he's going to play this weekend. We just don't know. There is some doubt around it. And he says it's basically just going to depend on how he responds to treatment over the course of this week. But it is not a major injury, which is good. It's some form of rib injury. They won't say exactly what. You don't know if it's like a contusion or a bruise. It sounds muscular to me, or like a sprain.
Dr. Dom.
Dan Quinn said something about torque, and you don't really deal with torque when you're talking about a bone bruise. That's impact. Torque is like something got twisted the wrong way, maybe pinched a nerve, maybe he tweaked his oblique muscle or something along those lines, which is incredibly painful. I mean, I remember one time I just slept wrong in high school. I woke up the next day and I couldn't move my arm because I tweaked my oblique muscle in my sleep. I can't imagine.
I'm sure that's the same as Jayden Daniels getting folded over by professional football players.
Exactly, an NFL athlete would feel.
I had bruised ribs once, but I actually got slammed to the turf playing soccer. Which
soccer though.
It's it's painful. We had a little scuttlebutt over that. I'm not going to admit, but
yeah,
that was back in Pop's fiery days. But yeah, I mean, I think.
No, go ahead. I'm getting off topic.
Get it in there. Get it in there.
I was just going to say, looking back on it, the conditions in the soccer dome were brutal. I mean, you had about this much turf over just flat concrete. That was just ACLs.
Oh, my ribs felt it. I was out for a few weeks after that.
Oh my God.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, speaking of, I did rupture patella tendon in the soccer dome. So anyway, we'll have to see. We'll have to call my lawyer about that. But no, I mean, I think Jayden Daniels. I mean, I don't know. Like I go back and forth and I waffle, and I guess there's a conversation of and. You know, truth be told, we'll record this on a Tuesday night, so there'll be news throughout the week. Although I get a sense that we're not going to really know anything other than, we might know if he's out there practicing. They might even hide that. And even if he's warming up when the reporters are there, it doesn't really mean that he went full go in practice. So, I don't know that we're going to really know. I think it's probably going to be called a game time decision. Maybe we'll know more as the game gets closer and closer. But I think it's a question of like, will he play or should he play? And I'm really torn. Like, I think that I really felt like Dan Quinn, you can interpret these pressers however you want. I feel like he left the door wide open for Jayden playing. Jayden's going to want to play. And in an injury like this, it's going to come down to whatever Jayden says. If he says he's not feeling pain, if he says he's good, how do you prove otherwise? Now, I hope he's smart about it, and I hope he doesn't try to be a hero, and I hope he understands that, we need him for the full season, and, maybe indirectly, if he's protecting that rib, it could leave him open for some other injury, because when you're not going, you're not able to go full bore, that can happen. But I go back and forth. There's sometimes I think, he's going to play. I would say, there is a level of disappointment about it because even in preseason pods when we were going over the schedule, you had this game circled. You just want to see that showdown, but they definitely should be smart about it for sure. They definitely need to be smart about it. I mean, the old regime, it would have been almost no doubt he'd have been playing, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, Dan would have been in the locker room himself telling them you got to go. But yeah, I think personally, I agree with you on that, Pop. I think, it's just going to come down to pain management for him and how he can kind of tolerate the pain and how much the staff perceives him to be in pain and how much they weigh it.
Yeah.
I'll go out on a limb and say it. And we might get into this a little bit later as well about the Bears, but this is not an important game. It's just not.
I disagree with you there. I disagree with you.
Every game is important. Hush, Beth, let me explain. Every game is important, but you've got New York, you've got Philly twice, you've got Pittsburgh coming up. You have games that are going to impact your playoff picture more than this game. Bottom line is if you take care of business in the division, you win the division. This game does not impact seeding as you win the division. We're not going to get the number one seed. That's pretty much out of the picture. I'm not so concerned about this game in relation to the rest of the season and in the perspective of if we need to get Jayden right for next week or we need to get Jayden right for 2 weeks from now, or if we need to get it to a point where Jayden is, 80% next week, but can go, and then 100% the week after, rather than rush him back and he's 60% this week, 60% the week after, 65% the week after that. I would prefer he sit. I think it's a long season, 17 games. CJ Stroud missed a couple games last year, still had the year he had. I mean, guys around the league miss games. It's not an abnormal thing. The one positive is that the injury happened pretty early in the game last week, so he did have much tread on his tires from that game, so he could start the recovery process, start working on that pretty much immediately. But I don't know. In terms of like, it's not like we're going to play Dallas at Dallas for our playoff seed tomorrow. You know, we're 5-2. It's the middle of the season. It's not the end of the world if he can't go, if it means better chance at him being healthy in December. That's what
I agree with everything you said, short that it's not an important game. They're all important. They're all important. And you have to look at the well-being of the player and the longer-term goal in the season. But you can't go into a mindset that you're punting this game. You know, and I know I'm sure they won't. This game's important, and if it's Marcus Mariota behind center, they got to do everything they can to help him out. I will admit, as good as Marcus looked, that scared the prospect of him going up against that Bears defense scares the daylights out of me. I just, he played well against a very bad team that was already well in the hole, and, a lot of that first score that we got was from running the football. And then he, after Marcus came in the game, and then he started to warm up and play well and, do very well on some off schedule stuff, which he does. But, I think if anybody can coach him up, Cliff can coach him up. But I think you've got to treat every one of these games as equally important. I don't agree with the idea that this one's not as important as the others on the schedule. That I just don't agree with.
It's not. There's nuance to my point there, but I hear you.
But I definitely agree with protecting Jayden. If he's not 100%, he shouldn't go. I agree with that. He shouldn't be out there if he's not ready to roll. And I agree. If it was a playoff game, maybe that's a different response. It's going to be interesting. We're just going to have to watch it. It's going to make picking this game very interesting because there's two answers, one with Jayden and one without. Not saying those answers change, but we're going to have to kind of. Do you think he's going to go? Prediction on that. No. Do you think he's going to go?
No. No.
If I don't think he's going to go. If we're stealing, we'll blatantly steal and give all the credit in the world to JP Finley and Mitch Tischler and the Beltway Football Podcast. Watch that. They're the GOATs. They're the best. But if we're blatantly stealing from them, 100 chips, how many chips do you put on him playing and how many do you put on him not playing?
I mean, it's a close one, but I would say probably like 65 not playing, 35 playing.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there. I think it's a 60-40, 55-45 split. I definitely could see a scenario where he plays because, there's every indication after that game that he seemed pretty good from what we could see.
Yeah, and it's a lot.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot sore the next day. Those things tend to be.
You ever get like a cortisol shot before? It's you don't feel nothing after you get one of those. And I'm sure there's a little bit of that going on. I'm sure there's a little bit because at first it's let's get Jayden back in the game, right? So it's probably some kind of x-rays. Okay, it's not broken. Then shot, massage. Then we're up 27-0 at the half. You know what, Jayden? Put the sweats on. We'll be okay.
Maybe the pain medication has a lot to do with it, but I can tell you no pain medication. If your ribs are really banged up, you ain't doing this. And you're not hugging people. And so, I mean, he looked, as good as you can look in street clothes, he looked pretty good after that game. But bottom line, we don't know. They need to. I think we both agree, as much as badly as I want to see him play, and see that showdown with Caleb Williams. They got to be smart about this. They just have to be.
I mean, look, I would love to see the game. I'm pumped for the game. I've been feeling sad that we can't just forward to this game and get excited about it because, the whole narrative around the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, who's a DC guy, pretty well liked by our fan base. And then Jayden Daniels, the number 2 overall pick, who's been sensational to start off the year. Of course, there's going to be comparisons. Bears fans can't get enough of Jayden Daniels. They wake up in the morning, the first thing they think of is Jayden Daniels. They go to bed, it's the last thing they think of is Jayden Daniels. Bears fans just can't stop talking.
Celebrating the fact that he's getting hurt as low as you can get. But anyway,
ridiculous.
That's fine.
But
we've had a couple run-ins with Bear fans at FedEx, and I would say they are not the highest class of people. But I also know some Bears fans that are really great guys too. So I shouldn't.
We got some great.
I shouldn't categorize
Bears fans in the family.
We have some great Bears fans in the family, but to me, and we're guilty too. Like I'll take that statement back, but we're guilty too because I know that all fans go to the lowest of the low, but saying we told you he could have got hurt. He got hurt. Full disclosure, we had a run-in with some Bears fans when we went to go watch a Bears game at FedEx
We did,
Field,
yeah.
So, and they were jerks. But I'm sure that doesn't apply to the whole fan base. But
it was Case Keenum at quarterback that way who threw 3
and they were celebrating an injury. That was what
they were.
That was what riled us. But anyway, that's a long time from now. We should probably keep this moving, son.
Yeah.
Get on to the next time.
Yeah, let's keep this thing moving here. Let's do the Bears scouting report. Overall, I'm not gonna fool you again. Bears fans will be able to tell you the entire 53-man roster on Washington. I can't do that for Chicago. I really don't care about Chicago. I'm a Washington fan. I like my guy. I also like Caleb Williams, who is their quarterback, was drafted number 1 overall. I was sitting here pounding on the desk, screaming, trade up for number 1 overall pick if they'll move off the pick. Give anything you want. And so far, Caleb Williams started off a little shaky first couple games. To be expected, NFL rookie. He's been lighting it up these last few weeks. He's been what you would expect, what you thought he could become, the beginning stages of what will be a very special player up there in Chicago, which you could find the tape. I said I think is a good thing. I said, how cool would it be for 2 franchises that haven't had quarterbacks, the 2 franchises that have struggled with quarterback longer than most franchises in the league, to both resolve it in the same draft. But that's just me up here on the high road. Caleb Williams, hell of a player, has the opportunity to just break the back of a defense at any moment with his ability to create outside of the pocket and off structure. Laser of an arm, has that Mahomesian ability to just fling a ball across his body in a way that you didn't think was humanly possible, drop it in a bucket. Heck of a quarterback. And they've got, on the outside, they've got Keenan Allen, they've got DJ Moore, wide receiver. Running back wise is DeAndre Swift, I believe. Shaky offensive line. Not good on the O-line. That's something we'll talk about later on. But defensively, they're stout, man. I mean, Montez Sweat anchors that defensive line. That's a guy that we should have never let out of the building. I said it once. I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. I think that was a miss. Because he's a stud, man. I'm a big Montez Sweat fan. People will put the sacks up on the board and say that, Fowler has 4.5 sacks and Sweat and Young combined only have 4. But Sweat in the run game is so darn good on the defensive line and just such a good player. And across the board defensively, they're a very solid unit. I mean, they rank in the top 10 in most categories, except for, ironically, run defense. I know I just got done talking about how good Montez Sweat is, but that's kind of the weak spot defensively there. But that's my Bears breakdown. Like I said, I don't spend too much time thinking about the Chicago Bears. I know they love them, some Washington Commanders, but I don't spend much time thinking about that team. So that's the best
if you're going to get a knock on them, similar to a knock on us, they haven't beaten anyone good. They say the same thing about us, so I don't like that one. They have had some big victories. Big. They've kind of been like us. When they play bad teams, they've won big. So you got to give them credit for that. But just a data point, they beat the Panthers 36-10 in Chicago. We beat the Panthers 40-7 in Washington with our backup quarterback. So I think that I like our chances versus the Bears. I wish it wasn't with our backup quarterback. but I like our chances.
And when did they still, was Bryce Young still at quarterback in that Chicago game? When did they play the Panthers? Was it last week?
I doubt it. It was only 2 weeks ago, so it had to have been.
So yeah, it is Dalton's second game.
It had to have been Dalton. Yeah.
But
yeah, it was definitely Andy Dalton. Bryce Young came in late in the game, but Dalton actually had decent stats.
Overall, solid team. I think these teams are a lot more likely, more similar.
They did give up 97 yards to Chuba Hubbard.
There you go.
On 13 carries, 7.5 yard average. So
there you go.
Follows your scouting report.
Yeah, they're towards the bottom third of the league in rush defense. So that's something to look out for.
That. Yeah.
And we just parlay that right in to our 3 keys to a win. Funnily enough, number 1 is establish the run, because Chicago's defense, that's the weak spot, is the run game. And we saw last week Cliff come out once Marcus Mariota was in the game, 8 straight run plays, went straight down the field, scored a touchdown, 8 different formations. Pretty cool stuff. So let's see that happen again against Chicago. I think that has been, it doesn't get talked about enough, because to the casual fan, run game doesn't look all that different. It's either a handoff inside or a handoff outside. It doesn't look that different to the naked eye, but the ability to mix up the way we're running the football is, I think, the strongest point of Cliff's offense right now. The ability to just generate 200 yards on the ground every game almost, and just move players around and pieces around, spread guys out so you can go downhill, then bring the package in and bounce it outside. It's really cool the way that they're doing it, and they're disguising it in so many different looks. The defense is just unable to be ready for it. So I think Chicago, already weak against the run, this should be a Brian Robinson game. This should be a Jeremy McNichols game.
I think. I know, one of the keys, and I'll credit to Dominic for the production work on this pod. He did the outline. I know one of your keys, spoiler alert, is protect Mariota. But I think we're going to see a lot of design runs if Mariota is quarterbacking this game, because it's one of his strengths, and it's one way to keep the Bears off balance. And our boy Driscoll better stay ready.
Yeah.
Our boy Driscoll better stay ready, if that's the case.
We'll do that key next. We can move it around a little bit. This was my 3rd key, but it'll be our 2nd key now, is play ball control. Keep it simple offensively. Protect the quarterback, especially if it's Mariota. If it's Jayden, I don't want to see no design runs. I don't care. Jayden's good enough from the pocket at this point in his NFL career, which is bizarre to say because it's week 8.
It can't be no design runs. It has to be selectively. You have to keep the defense off balance. It's one of his superpowers.
Fine, but
you have to be selective. Maybe it shouldn't be the first play of the game, against a really bad team. But we need to be selective about when we pull them out, but it can't be 0.
Very minimal. Very minimal. It should be like when we play Cleveland.
You should use it to keep the defense off balance. Yeah.
Yeah, or like a little red zone.
He's going to run the football.
To the sideline.
He's going to run the football, whether they're designed or not.
Yes. We all yes, he's going to run the football. It's a matter of doing it in the smartest way possible. I'm not saying
100%.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's be smart about it. Let's understand what we're dealing with here. If he's playing, he's not going to be 100%. I think that's pretty obvious. So let's not put him in the position to make that worse.
I agree with that.
And then more games. Play ball control, keep it simple offensively, and protect the quarterback. That's going to be key for us, because I think we're going to be missing Brandon Coleman. Although Cornelius Lucas played great last week, he was kind of playing against Carolina JV.
He's played well all season, though. They've been pretty even. They've been pretty even.
Yeah, but we're going to be missing. Their strength has been the rotation and the fact that the two of them are greater than the sum of their parts. So we're not going to be doing that, which is going to be tough, I think, and not ideal, especially going against Montez Sweat.
It's his revenge game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Cornelius Lucas's revenge game too. He was a Bear before he came to Washington. Yeah,
I think you're thinking of Charles Leno.
Both of them were Bears. Look it up.
Good stuff, Pop. Good stuff. How about the Pop scouting report right there?
There you go.
Well done. Well done. Hey, Hand up on the lack of faith there. Hand up. That's on me. That's on me. Then the last key is going to be to pressure Caleb Williams. Chicago's offensive line has been shaky. We've seen him he took like 7 sacks in that Monday Night Football game in week 2. We've seen him have a tendency. Yeah. That's the thing about Williams. It's the same thing it was a knock on Mahomes early in his career as well, which, hey, good company to be in if you're a Bears fan, right? But sometimes Williams will hold on to that ball a little bit too long because his ability to create is so incredible. He thinks he can do it every single time. So if we can continue to rush the way we've been rushing these last few weeks, where we're pushing the entire defensive line across and creating these kind of team sacks where there's just nowhere for the guy to go, I think that'll be a good way to kind of speed up Williams as well, and just get this Chicago team off balance. They don't run the ball particularly great. DeAndre Swift's a dynamic player when he gets hot, but he's streaky. So I wouldn't be mad at just kind of letting the guys pin their ears back and get after Williams, because if they're going to beat us, they're going to have to beat us through the air because we're going to run the ball well. So
yeah, the defense has to definitely have a good defense. We need to see the good defensive performance this week. I think that's certainly key. And I like your take. Pressure him into making some mistakes too.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Maybe he gets overconfident going up against Marcus Mariota instead of Jayden Daniels. You never know.
You never know. I don't think these guys are thinking about it on that level. I think this is way more like a media thing. Although,
they're thinking about it.
I think Jayden. I think to a degree, there's a feeling. I think Jayden feels like he'd never say it. I think Jayden feels like he's the better quarterback, and he's been the better quarterback.
Of course, you should think. They both should think that.
I think Jayden wants to throw his stone, as Ron Rivera would say, in this game and prove it the same way he threw his stone against Joe Burrow in Joe Burrow's house right after following him up at LSU. I think that's where Jayden's at. Same kind of vibe here. But that is it for our Commander segment. Doing things a little bit differently this week. Prediction coming to you to top off the Bada Bets segment. So stay tuned for that, and let's get into our Bada Bets.
Does the Commanders game doesn't count against the Bada Bets record, though, unless we actually put it, right? Just to be clear on the rules.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to be clear on the rules. Commanders prediction, not going to count against the Bada Bets, but we are going to tie it in with the Bada Bets segment because you guys are getting that Bada Bets clip on Saturday. So some of y'all might be seeing this Bada Bets for the first time. We want to let you know how we're feeling about the Commanders game. So let's get into it. Pop, how you feeling about that Bada Bets last week? How you feeling? You were 3-3. I was 4-2.
I made some stupid picks.
I think you're happy to hold serve at 3-3 there, no?
Yeah, but I feel like looking back, I mean, I definitely was happy at 3-3. The New Orleans pick was just plain dumb. I don't know what I was thinking. And I feel like picking the Jets was pretty dumb too. I just feel like, I mean, you look back, like it's tough to pick these games. So, it's always easy to go after the fact. But I was thinking about both of those, and I'm just like, those are just dumb picks. And we both picked the Jets. But I think the Jets pick was a dumb pick. I really do. Steelers at home. And yeah, we disrespected Russell Wilson. We'll get another shot at that here again this week. But anyway, I'm very happy going 3-3 given how dumb my picks were.
I don't think we disrespected Russ Wilson as much as we disrespected Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin knew what he was doing.
We over-respected the New York Jets.
And we definitely over-respected the New York Jets. And turns out when you fire the guy in charge of that defense falls apart. And now the Jets just have nothing except for a quarterback that's too old and past his prime. Yeah. But different story. I was 4-2 last week. Pop was 3-3, which puts our record at 22. I'm 22-15. Pop 20-17 on the year. So both boys comfortably. I have 7 games over 500 at this point in the which I just got to give myself a little bit of that. That's pretty good. The first couple of years I struggled with the points going against the spread, but things have broke my way so far. Pop 20-17, nothing to sneeze at either. Pretty darn good.
Both boys with a written record.
Big one for this year. Just a reminder to anybody just tuning in here. I won last year. Pop won the year before overall. So this is a tiebreaker year.
This is year 3. Bada Bets year 3.
Bada Bets year 3 for sure.
I'm off to a rough start.
Let's get warmed up here. This one doesn't count against the Bada. Commanders plus 2.5 at home versus the Bears. Let's give our Commanders prediction. How do you feel about that? Obviously, that line indicates I think you get minus 2.5 if Jayden plays. That line is showing Jayden's not playing right now.
It's a homer pick. I'm going to pick our guys. I can't pick against them. I do think Mariota makes me nervous, but I have a lot of faith in our coaching staff. And I think Kingsbury is going to coach him up, call a great game plan for Mariota. It's a game plan that he's really comfortable with. I think there's going to be a lot of design runs. I think they're going to be less concerned about, they've got a pretty capable backup to Mariota and Driscoll. He looked pretty good in the offseason. Not that they want to potentially get him hurt, but I'm going to go with our guys. I think we're the better football team than Chicago. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to roll with our guys too. If it doesn't count against the Bada Bets, doesn't hurt to be a
homer pick, but
I'll be honest, man. I don't like our chances if Mariota's playing, but I think, like you said, I also wouldn't be surprised if you just come away from it and you go, wow, this is a Cliff Kingsbury legacy game. I think he's just been coaching with his head on fire.
There's a lot of stupid, I'll call them stupid. I know it's not a nice word to use, but they're stupid comments. They're not necessarily stupid people making them, but they're making stupid comments. I make stupid comments sometimes. I make stupid picks, as I just said. But there's a lot of stupid comments about, Jayden Daniels being a system guy and all this, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't watched the kid, number one, you shouldn't be commenting on him. If you've watched him play and you still don't think he's a great player, a salute. I'll just say that.
There you go.
But I do think coaching has had a lot to do with the success of this team. I think the run game is dynamic. You rattled it off. What'd you say? 8 runs with 8 different formations. I think this team can get it done in a lot of different ways. And I think that we're riding our hopes on that. And the defense has to step up for sure. Is it an uphill battle? Would I feel a lot more confident with Jayden in there? Absolutely. But who knows? Maybe he's out there on Sunday.
Maybe he's out there. Well, if he's out there, I'm taking the Dares all the way. Got to take the boys.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get into the official Bada Bet slate now. Thursday Night Football, Vikings at Rams. Rams are 2.5-point underdogs here. I'm taking the Vikings to cover this. This is a get-right game for the Vikings. They lost a close one against Detroit, and the Rams suck this year. I don't know what's going on over there. It's probably a lot of injuries. They also mortgaged the future to get into that Super Bowl and haven't been the same since. But the Rams stink this year, so I'm taking the Vikings.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going Vikings. I'm just going to tell you.
A little bit of interest there. There is talk of some Matt Stafford trade to the Vikings at the trade deadline. There's been some stuff swirling around that would just be bizarre. But Falcons at Bucks. Bucks are 2.5-point favorites at Sunday at 1:00. Division game. Bucks are 2.5-point underdogs, which was bizarre to me. I'm taking the Bucks.
You sure about that?
I checked it 3 times.
Well, underdogs at home against the Falcons?
Yeah.
Okay. Bucks all the way for me.
Yep, right here on DraftKings. Bucks 2.5-point favorites. And if you click on it, it says Atlanta Falcons at Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you can get the Bucks for plus 2.5 right now. So I'm taking the Bucks as well. I mean,
Falcons 2.5-point favorites.
Falcons are 2.5-point favorites. Yes. But the Bucks did just lose Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, so I guess that plays a factor. But
That's a big factor.
I'm still rolling with the Bucs.
That's a big factor. That's a big factor. Now, I think the Bucs are a really good football team. I think they put up. I know some of it was late, but they put up a bunch of points against the Ravens. That was a good football game, and yeah, I agree. Maybe it's those injuries. It's got to be those injuries affecting the line, but I'll stick with the Bucs.
Yep. Division game at home. Todd Bowles, good coach. They'll get it done.
Yeah, well coached team.
Bills at Seahawks. Seahawks +3 here.
Man, it's a tough one.
What do you like? This is a tough one.
I think
Bills making one of the longest
Bills are just so darn inconsistent. They are, and I think the Seahawks get a lot out of what they have talent-wise. They just battle. You go first.
You're giving the Seahawks 3 points. It's a tough place to play. I haven't seen it from the Bills recently. They started off hot, but they've cooled off a lot. I'll go ahead and take the Hawks getting points at home. I don't know that I love that pick, but I'm going to stick with it.
I'm a zag. I'm going Bills.
Yeah, I'd feel better on the other end of that, but I'm going to stick with my Hawks. Why not? Cowboys are 4.5-point underdogs at the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football. I think we're both taking the Niners here, right?
Yeah.
Niners at home, need a get-right game. Cowboys defense has been terrible. That's going to happen.
The Niners are hurting. I mean, Deebo Samuel's down with pneumonia now.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk out. I mean, they're Brock Purdy looks like a different quarterback these days. Well, you take any quarterback's weapons away, it makes it tough. To be fair, but I'll take the Niners, but I don't love this pick.
I do. I think the Cowboys stink. I don't love it because of the 49ers. I love it because I think the Cowboys are a bottom third team in the NFL right now. And the Cowboys are awful. You want to talk about a team that's just completely lost identity, a quarterback.
They're not a bottom third talent team.
No, but they've completely lost. They're playing like neither are the Bengals, but they're also a bottom third team in the NFL right now. Yeah. They're just not playing like
that. Well, if in doubt, pick against Dallas, I always say. So.
Yep. And then Monday Night Football, Giants +6.5 at Pittsburgh. I wonder what's going to happen at quarterback there with Daniel Jones. I know he was pulled for Drew Lock last week, and Drew Lock is.
They said he's still the starter. I thought that's.
Then give me the Steelers. Give me the Steelers.
Don't quote me on that, but I thought that's what I heard out there. I'm going Steelers either way. I mean, Drew Lock is not much of a better alternative, so I'm going Steelers all the way. I disrespected them last week. I'm not going to make that mistake twice.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Steelers as well. So I think we are pretty much in lockstep. It's going to come down. If you want to get a game back on the boy, it's going to be that Bills Seahawks game this weekend. So we ride together here, Pop.
Yeah,
this is going to be a good one.
Yep.
But man, another week down, another pregame pod down.
You could keep this out. You could keep this out of the Bada Bets clip. So this is just a little bonus topic, and we got 60 seconds on the clock. Jamin Davis getting cut.
Yeah, I did mention that earlier.
Keep it out of the clip, but if you've stayed with us this long, we really appreciate it. But just got a quick comment on Jamin Davis news.
I mean, I think he probably ends up on the practice squad because I don't think anybody else picks him up.
I don't think he's going on the practice squad. I think they're done with him. I don't think he's coming back on that would shock me. Just I don't have any knowledge, but I think they're.
Well, it's usually what you have to do. You have to release the guy to bring him down to your practice squad. But I think I texted
There's no shot of him coming back next year. Why would you invest the practice squad spot on him?
because he already knows the system and everything that's going on there. He's in the building, and you need guys to run practice with. There's no chance that most of your guys on your practice squad are playing. I think I texted my group chat. Here's my take on Jamin Davis. I think he only made the roster because Jordan McGee ended up hurt. So now Jamin Davis is.
They're going to bring Jordan McGee up. Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan McGee's coming up. Jamin Davis going to go back down.
That's a perfect take. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they gave him a shot. They made room for him on the 53. I think if you cut him after training camp, you might have seen him get picked up. But now I think they're probably pretty confident about storing him on their practice squad. Pretty confident they don't need him after guys like Jean-Baptiste and Obada have come back. And it's interesting to me. It's pretty damning of Jamin Davis considering how thin they are on that defensive line. But the kid can't play ball. It's just the bottom line. And he hasn't had his name called here in forever, so I really don't care.
I'll keep it quick because we need to wrap. Thank you, Ron Rivera, is what I'm going to say. His incompetence at drafting players and him and his staff trying to look like the smartest people in the room, drafting people that were not on anyone else's board that high.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. And there's so many examples of it. But his incompetence got us where we are today. The number 2 pick in the draft and then a fully rebuilt team. So my thanks to Ron Rivera.
Yep. Yeah, it should be it's over. It's over. It's over. There will be one more cut at the end of training camp next year. That'll be the end of it, and then it will really be over. But until then,
man, that long.
No, we need them this year at least. But until then, let's wrap this thing up, Pop. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you for another great week, everybody, and hail to the Commanders.
Hail.